Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So my name is Nan Fam Yoga, or AKA Nan Family Life. So I wanted to hop on here and go over some simple yoga movements for 5 common prenatal discomforts and pain. So I am a mom. I'm a mom of one. I'm 7 months postpartum. So you can probably hear my baby in the background. So let's get to it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment in the video. But I do have some prenatal yoga teacher training. If you're interested in that, it's at a low price right now. I will increase the price later on. So if you're interested in that, check out my website. It should be in the description below. So the first common prenatal discomfort is lower back pain. A couple movements that you can do for that is cat cow and downward facing dog. Very basic. If you are a busy prenatal mom and you don't really have time to attend a full on yoga class, but you do experience this pain, you can just drop down to hands and knees and do cat and cow. So cat and cow, you want to make sure that you're breathing through all these poses. There is no holding of the breath, especially when you're prenatal. So as you come into cat, you want to round your spine. And then if it feels good to you, you give it a little wiggle. So that is an exhale. And as you inhale, you come into cow. Another way that you can do this is with Gomukhasana legs, kind of eagle legs, Gomukhasana legs. You're going to cross the thigh bone and then open up the shins. And same thing, you're going to do cat. Maybe you give it a little wiggle, open up the lower back. And as you come into cow, you let the tummy hang, lift the heart. Now, if cow is too much pressure on your belly, you're just going to do a neutral spine and skip cow. So a lot of the times you get some lower back pain because as baby gets bigger, the curves in your spine become more exaggerated. And maybe it's just more natural to tilt the tummy forward and lift the tailbone and kind of be in like a swayed back. So cat and cow will help with that. Another good one is maybe doing 5 deep breaths in downward facing dog. Downward facing dog relieves the pressure off your lower back. So gravity kind of pushes baby down, holds baby, down in your belly, and you'll feel it in your lower back. Downward facing dog is an inversion, so allowing baby to not put so much pressure on your back and using gravity to your advantage. So coming into downward facing dog for prenatal women, the legs will be nice and wide. And for some of you, you'll need to bend the knees. You want to imagine sticking your tailbone out, pushing the floor away. And if it's okay for you, maybe you straighten the legs all the way down, but make sure that you honor the space for baby with the legs. So meaning legs far apart. Another common prenatal um, discomfort or pain is upper back pain. A couple things you can do for that is eagle arms. So you come into eagle arms, you'll stack the elbows and swivel the arms just like a Twizzler, or you can just hold opposite shoulders and give yourself a nice hug. So either one will do. But when you come into eagle pose, eagle arms, you want to lift the elbows really high and you'll feel the shoulder blades spread apart. And then you'll add a little back. And as you exhale, you're going to come into a cat-like spine and drop the head down, bringing the elbows as close as you can to baby. So as you inhale up, lifting the elbows nice and high. Exhale, coming into cat, rounding the spine. And that one should feel the upper back opening and widening. Another one you can do is interlace your hands behind the back of the head, squeeze the elbows in towards your nose, and you'll do a back bend. You'll feel a big stretch in the back of the arms. And as you exhale, you're going to bring the elbows in, round your spine, and let your head and elbows be super heavy. Then you can sway from left to right. When you do that pose, you should feel a big stretch in the upper back and maybe, if you're lucky, the lower back as well. Another one that you can do for upper back is interlace your hands behind your lower back, bend the knees, and make sure the legs are nice and wide to honor the space for baby. And let baby fall in between the thigh bones. Allow your arms to go up and over the head. This one is a 2-for-1. You get hamstring stretch and upper back shoulder chest stretch. And the next one is wrist issues. I didn't have much wrist issues when I was pregnant, but I did have a lot of them when I was breastfeeding. So I was holding baby and I kept bending the wrist very far in. So one of the things that you can do is interlace the hands and do figure eights with the wrist. Make sure you do forward and then you reverse it. You can shake out the fingers and then do wrist circles independently on their own. And another one is turning the fingertips to face your body. So maybe turning the fingertips in. This is a nice forearm stretch. Pressing the fingertips towards the earth. Okay, and if this is too intense, it doesn't have to go all the way down. Another one is bending the wrists, but then placing the back of the hands onto your mat. So it looks kind of like this. This reminds me of a gorilla, so I'll just say gorilla pose, and then you'll bring the fingertips in towards your wrists. And then maybe you bend the elbows and rock forward and back on the wrist. Okay, so that should help with some of the wrist pain or carpal tunnel if you have that during pregnancy. And even if you're postnatal and breastfeeding and your arms are getting used to all this positioning while breastfeeding, those ones are good. All right, and let's move on to the fourth one. So we did wrist, fourth. Okay, posture. So a lot of the times when baby gets a little heavier, we kind of went over poor posture. You can come into standing pose and go into some side bend. So really sticking out one hip out, big side bend towards the right, and then maybe a big side bend towards the left. I would do all four directions of the spine and then folding forward, standing forward, fold. And then maybe if you're inclined, you do a mini bend. Okay, so back bending is really good, but you're not going to do any extreme back bending because you don't want to put too much pressure on the abdominal space here, and that's not really honoring baby space. But you'll do some back bending, but not in the lower back, just the upper back. Another one that you can do is coming into sitting on top of your heels. This is my version of prenatal camel pose. So you sit on top of your heels, interlace your hands behind your lower back. And you're going to flip the palms to face your mat or your blanket if you need a little bit more height or a block. You're going to place the palms onto your prop, or if you're not using your prop, onto the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the heart, and look up. This one's a really good one for posture. Okay, so if you have complaints about posture, you're just not feeling very aligned, and you're have the tendency to kind of concave in the chest, that one is a good one. Okay, all right. And the next one is outer hip pain. So outer hip pain can also contribute to your lower back. So the best way to do anything that's kind of outer hip pain is doing any pigeon pose or Gomukhasana pose that helps your outer hips. So one of the poses is similar to the beginning. You're going to cross the thigh bones. You can also use a block or a blanket, cross the thigh bones, and you're going to back your butt. Okay, so the legs are nice and wide. Let me show you here. Shins are nice and wide, thigh bones are crossed, knees are crossed, just like you would sit in a chair cross-legged. Then you're going to back your hips up. Maybe you need the blanket or pillow or block to sit on. And for some of us, this is good enough. You can feel your outer hips lengthen and you feel the stretch already. For some of us, we're going to need some extra. So you're going to fold over the knees and really pressing your palms into your mat and spike your sit bones in towards your prop or your mat. And you should feel an outer hip stretch there. Another one, if you feel comfortable, is coming into the normal pigeon pose that people have at the end of yoga class, maybe bringing the shin as parallel as you can to the top of the mat. Now, if you have a lot of space between your hip and the mat, you're going to place a blanket underneath the hip. Then fold over the shin, and you should feel a nice hip stretch here. Okay, and then if that's not enough, or the pigeon pose doesn't work for you and you're not feeling Gomukhasana, which is the one with the cross-legged, what you can do is get a big pillow, place it right in front of your shin here, and then hop your shin on top of it. Hop your shin on top of the pillow, and then you fold. And so that one should give you a nice, gentle hip stretch. Make sure you do both sides. I'm going to do my other side because I've been doing a lot of the right side. So I think I've covered all 5 of the um, common prenatal discomforts and pregnancy pains. But if you have any questions and there is one that I have not mentioned and you want me to kind of go over it and give you a pose for that, let me know in the comments. And I'm wishing you a happy and healthy pregnancy. And I will catch you later.